Nut Nerd Podcast, Episode 244, Spacecraft Mode.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we're here to help you tech better. We've got plenty to talk about today, as always. And also, as always, here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
That's a lot of alwayses.
Yes, I had some issues. I got so excited about recording another episode with you that I just was all over that place on our normal routine.
Yes, and you're very correct about we have lots to talk about today because I see a full list in our show notes.
Yes.
And I'm excited to discuss today's topics with you as well.
Yeah, well, let's get into some follow-up. I've been talking about the fact that I have been wanting that my AirPods are not performing optimally, so I actually still have mine in. Dave, I pulled the trigger. We were talking about it this week.
What?
I talked with my wife. I bought my third pair of AirPods over the weekend on Amazon. One day it was the best deal around. I think it was $130. Mine, the right microphone wasn't working. Battery life was getting pretty bad on all of it. And per our discussion, it's like the right tool for the job. I've tried to be realistic. I probably average 5 to 6 hours a day with my AirPods in. I might not be listening to something all the time, but between phone calls and podcasts and music and everything, I just use them so much that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get another pair. I've been waiting for the long-awaited new revision of them, but my previous ones were the first generation, whereas you, my wife, had the second generation. But it is amazing just having a new clean pair, just how great they sound. There are some advantages to these ones over the first gen ones too, so I'm sure that will mean next week we're talking about new AirPods being released. But I have a plan. Actually, it'll be in about a month after the Amazon return window closes, that if they do update it, I will get the new pair and then pass these on to my wife for when hers wear out. But I did do something different on this round. On Amazon, they offered the Apple Care Plus, and I was like, Apple Care Plus, I haven't lost an AirPod yet. You know, why do I need the coverage? But I looked at it. For $29, I get 2 years coverage, which on both my previous sets would have extended the warranty, and I wouldn't have had to buy a new pair. I would have been able to have them replaced. So if something goes wrong within 2 years, they will replace them, and then I think you get 2 instances of, you know, if you damage them or break them or something, you can get them replaced for the lower price. So that's something to consider on AirPods, especially, you know, if you might break them, if you have a dog that likes to eat things, children, any of that stuff. Consider that extra $29 for an extra year plus the damage protection.
And if you have a dog that likes to eat children, then you need to get rid of that dog.
Yes,
just case in point.
Very nice.
Why didn't you pull the trigger and go with the Pro model? I'm curious why you went with the plain Janes.
Personally, I think the plain Janes look better. I like the little bit longer, maybe just because that's what I've been wearing for the last, 3.5 years now, almost 4 years. I don't need the noise canceling for anything. 98% of the time I only have one in my ear, so I don't need the noise cancellation. And so to be able to save $100+ I just went with the plain Janes.
Saving money is always a very high motivator when I purchase things.
Yes.
And so that's good. I think maybe if it comes time for me again to get another set, I might like to try out the Pro models with the noise isolation. But I don't typically like headphone devices that go inside my ear, so I may regret that decision if I ever do decide that. Yeah, no, we shall see.
The regular ones fit my ears great. They never fall out, so I just figured I'd read some recent articles comparing the Pros versus the normal ones, and it's like, I have no reason to get the nicer ones. So,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
different
All right.
ones,
Well, good,
per se.
good for you.
Yes.
Good for
so,
you.
enough about me and my AirPod addiction. Let's move on to some other stories. Follow up the TikTok thing. I put an article in the show notes. This whole thing's a mess. There's politics involved. There's all kinds of stuff. But the article I had is that the ByteDance, TikTok's owner, CEO, says Trump's real goal is to kill off TikTok. I saw something that they are planning to sue the U.S. government. It's a weird...
They can't do that.
Yeah, so
Why?
we will. I don't know. We have to wait and see how it plays out. And trying to figure out what actually is going on is not worth my time on that. But related to that, this week, Instagram has released their Reels globally in over 50 countries, and from all accounts, I have not used it yet. It is a near TikTok knockoff. It is their version of TikTok. They've had, obviously the feed originally and then stories, but this is, you can just, find funny viral content from around the world and share it with everybody. You don't have to be following somebody. So the whole TikTok thing point might become moot as Reels gains traction, and they're putting a lot of promotion behind it and trying to get celebrities on board so that Instagram can just have it, and then nobody needs TikTok.
And then somebody needs to come out with a photo sharing service to replace Instagram, because Instagram used to be a photo sharing service.
Yes.
So maybe if we could have that back again, that would be really nice.
Yeah, and it is getting convoluted. I saw something in the marketing realm of news this week, and it's like, where do you even post on Instagram? Do you just do a post? Do you do a story? Do you do a reel? Like, it's getting very complicated, much like the parent company Facebook's product, which just has a lot of stuff going on. So we'll see what happens with TikTok, but I can't follow the moment by moment changes in that story.
Yeah, me either.
Disney Plus, they have grown to more than 60.5 million, with an M, subscribers. Obviously, it has been a huge hit, which came at a very good time where people are spending more time at home watching things, and then things like Hamilton and some, Mandalorian, all these hits that they've had.
Well, we know where all the Quibi subscribers went when they dropped off.
Exactly.
They went over to Disney Plus.
Oh man, yeah. So in April they passed 50 million. In July they've added another 10 million subscribers. I think I saw something that said that they had goals within 3 or 4 years to get, to like 65 million subscribers, which they're probably going to hit in their first year.
I think when Mandalorian Season 2 comes out, they'll probably hit that.
Yes, and you are a subscriber, correct?
I am. I currently am a subscriber, and I contemplated dropping it off in this interim between Mandalorian, because I'm not watching a lot of the content.
Yeah.
But I think some members of my family watch some of the programs on there, so I'll probably keep it around. But still loving Netflix right now. They have the content that I want to watch on Netflix. So as we talked about, I believe last week, I had to
we talked about every week.
If I had to choose one, it'd be Netflix right now. But I pretty much have access to all of them. So that's good.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about the big tech companies not going back to their workspaces, continuing their work from home stuff. Well, Facebook is going the other direction. They have closed a long-discussed deal to lease 730,000 square feet of the historic Farley building in Manhattan. This
Harley.
Farley.
That's off a movie. Sorry, everybody.
So this was formerly the 1912 James A. Farley Post Office. So they are going full steam ahead on commercial real estate in Manhattan. I don't know if they're just going to, if they're actually going to fill it, or if it's just a real estate investment. But I don't know how quickly they'll be moving people in there, but maybe they're doing renovations and all that. But I thought that was interesting as kind of an opposing story of everything we've been talking about people abandoning their office buildings. Facebook is doing the opposite, 730,000 square feet. That is a large building, especially in a place like Manhattan. I did not see a number of the monthly bill on that, but I'm sure it is a pretty penny.
I can't imagine what that amount of space would cost to lease.
Yes.
Quite a bit, I'm sure.
Slightly larger than your or my residences. We were talking about the SpaceX NASA landing the other week, and there's an interesting story that came out that SpaceX actually had to troubleshoot an iPad issue with the NASA astronauts using AirDrop during space flight. So the sing the praises of AirDrop. Did you follow this story at all, Dave?
Yeah, I did. It seemed like they're using iPads, and each astronaut has access to an individual iPad. And one of the person's iPad had the flight manual PDF on there, and the other one was getting like a "you're not connected to the internet" type error. And so they got authorized to turn on Wi-Fi to do an AirDrop to copy the file over and then turn Wi-Fi back off. Because as you may or may not know, Wi-Fi could potentially interfere with onboard electronics and other signals or whatever. So they keep those things in airplane mode. They need to have a spacecraft mode on those.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future.
Next to maybe a special build for Tesla and NASA. That would be interesting.
But anyway, they were able to transfer the document across, and all was well. AirDrop to the rescue, but maybe it shouldn't have ever had to been used.
Yes.
It was very strange.
Yes, maybe they should have had those files ahead of time, but they were able to get it figured out as they were descending towards the Earth.
Maybe a stray cosmic ray hit one of the documents and corrupted the file so that it wasn't working. So who knows?
Maybe it was aliens.
I think ultimately they probably have paper copies on that ship somewhere if they had to break out the book. But when you're descending through the Earth's atmosphere at thousands of miles an hour on fire, I mean, who wants to find the book?
Yeah.
It's not very convenient,
No. Oh, man. Well, we were talking about quarterly results a little bit last week. We don't spend too much time, but you found an article saying that Nintendo reports 428% jump in profit for what is their Q1. And so obviously with the demand for the Nintendo Switch, as well as their hit games, Animal Crossing, and some of the others, they are doing quite well through the pandemic.
Yeah, it's interesting to see which companies and which industries are benefiting from people staying at home due to the COVID crisis. And I mean, what a lucky circumstance if you're a gaming company or a video conferencing technology company or a webcam company. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are happy accidents for all those companies, but it just sheds a little insight as to what people are doing and what they're using their money purchased. And so with a bunch of kids running under your feet, I can see people going, here's a Nintendo for you, and here's one for you, and here's one for you. Now stay out of my way so I can do this next Zoom meeting with my boss.
Yes. Now if they released a homeschooling curriculum on the Nintendo Switch, they could double that again.
Oh man, that would be incredible.
Yes.
They need to get on that. That's an incredible idea.
Yes. You're welcome, Nintendo. And you are all welcome for Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
So one thing that most of us do day in and day out is we use our internet web browser. In fact, many people who own computers think that's just the internet. They think that's just the computer. I bought a computer. It has a browser. I do my banking, I do my video watching, I do my email, all through the browser. I don't even open up another application. So they're very integrated and important into our lives. And so it's always good to find a nice, tip to increase productivity, and I've got one for you today, Nate. So most internet browsers, and specifically I'm going to be referencing Chrome, which is available on all the platforms, it has a bookmark bar that you can turn on and off. Maybe that's the tip right there for some people. What? There are bookmarks?
Yes.
I can bookmark my stuff?
Hopefully we're past that point.
Yeah, but most people are familiar with bookmarks, and I choose to keep my bookmark bar on the time. Mm-hmm. So there's some bookmarks up there. There probably are other ways, but the simplest way, if you right click on a bookmark bar, there's an option to add a folder. Mm-hmm. This is just like on your desktop. You can add a folder and you can put bookmarks inside the folder so that you have a collection of bookmarks. Now, why would you do this? Well, there's a finite amount of horizontal space across the top of your browser window to save said bookmarks. And once you get to about 10 or 12, they start truncating and getting lopped off. So you might want to organize your bookmarks by work bookmarks and home bookmarks and hobby bookmarks and whatever bookmarks, shopping bookmarks. You can have collections of bookmarks. Now, I've done this in the past, and here's the real tip. If you go to the same websites all the time, let's say you have a Gmail tab open, a YouTube tab open, something for work, and maybe a shopping site. And every time you restart your computer, you're going in there and you're reconfiguring everything. Or if you live in kind of two different worlds, like here's my work world, and now I'm going to switch, what do they call these? Instances or contexts. I'm going to switch contexts. Well, setting up your browser can kind of be a pain in the rear if you're not using individual profiles and those type of things. But the real trick is if you have a folder in your bookmarks bar and you have filled it up with bookmarks, you can simply right click that folder and say open all bookmarks either in new windows or in new tabs. I have the Brave browser open, and it says you can open them all in private tabs if you prefer to do so. But I'm going to open all mine in this. I have 10 real quick, and I'm going to click it, and boom, immediately 10 new tabs appear on my browser, and they're starting to load in the background right now. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, my Zoom call did not crash from all the extra websites that are being contacted, but it's just a super convenient way.
Yeah.
If you have, I would say, more than 5 websites that you open up consistently all the time and are closing and opening, just set up a folder, right-click on it, open them all at the same time. It can save you hours and hours of time and productivity over the years.
Yes. Well, I'm going to piggyback on that with a bonus pro tip. You mentioned the limited horizontal space there in your bookmarks bar, and I use my bookmarks bar all the time and have a ton of stuff there. Well, if you also right-click on any of the websites you have, some of them, they get really long names or, just they take up a lot of space. And if you just click edit, you can shorten the name if you need to, or a lot of websites have a unique icon that you're going to recognize. You can just take the name off, so you can fit a lot more in that area. Just having the icons there instead of having Amazon Shopping Daily Prime membership all spelled out, and then you don't get to see anything else. So that's a little
a great tip.
Added help there. Well, thank you for that, Dave. Let us move on to the takes of the week. Samsung had their Unpacked event to release or announce their new products. We had the new Pixel phone announcement last week, and Samsung, I watched through Twit's coverage of the announcement. It was weird. Samsung's product announcements seem to be, they're just done, they're different than Apple, let's say that, but it seems from what I see on Twitter and the like that most people are like, come on, Samsung, you got to do better with this. But they announced several new products. They officially unveiled the Note 20 and Note 20 Ultra, as well as the Galaxy Tab S7 and S Plus, or S7 Plus, the Galaxy Watch 3, and Galaxy Buds Live, and they teased the Galaxy Z Fold 2. Whew.
Sheesh, I cannot keep up with all this stuff.
No.
So what does that mean to the real the real community of people who are listening right now.
Yes. It means that if you like the Note phones and are looking, these are the large format phones with the built-in stylus, or the S Pen as they call it. Those are coming starting at $1,000 and going up from there. They are adding, I believe all of the phones have 5G built in. As we talked about, 5G is just one of those things that's kind of becoming whether it's necessary or not, a standard for new phones. If you, for some reason, hate having a good tablet, you could look at the Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus. Now, these are probably the best in the market for Android tablets, but again, why you would not just get an iPad? If you really hate Apple Watches, they have the Watch 3, the Galaxy Buds Live. These are some weird looking AirPod type headphones that are they look like beans, and there was actually apparently a reference to the Galaxy Beans on their website, like on launch day. They have noise canceling and pretty similar specs, it looks like, to the AirPods Pro, and then the Z Fold. If you're really looking for a folding phone, when this one comes out, hopefully they have improved. They talked a lot about what they've done to improve the hinge, and they learned from Dyson's vacuum cleaners, the nylon brushes to clean the hinge, and but those are expensive. Interestingly, they are doing the Xbox Games Pass bundle, which I think we mentioned last week, which is similar to some of the other game streaming services, and they're really working closely with Microsoft on a lot of things to give kind of a Apple ecosystem between Samsung and then Microsoft's products, so you really, you can share things in between things. The phones work with the TVs, all of this. They're really trying to copy Apple's very successful ecosystem with their line of products and some partnerships with Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft's kind of gone all in on the Android ecosystem. So I really wish they could have made the Windows Phone a thing, and they tried. And I've talked about the Windows Phone that Elliot so graciously gave to me a while back, and I still use it occasionally for various things. But it would have been nice if Microsoft could have had this whole ecosystem where they have their computers and their phone and their video game service and all this stuff. Sadly, in an alternative timeline, maybe this has happened, but in our timeline is not a thing. Yes.
So that was Samsung's announcement, but not to be outdone, Apple updated their iMac lineup this week.
They did.
Yeah, they did. The main 27-inch kind of flagship iMac, they really made some changes. The biggest of all, I think, they went to a 1080p webcam in 2020. They finally, the first Apple computer with a 1080p instead of 720p. I heard on another podcast, they said they probably kept going to these vendors and they're like, we just can't sell you 720p webcams anymore. You need to upgrade this. But there's some other great features. If you're in the market for an iMac right now, on that model, they got rid of the Fusion drive, so it's all SSD. There's a lot more configuration options. And they're the 27-inch iMac is a great computer. They made some, I think, just processor updates and configuration options for the iMac Pro, the high-end one, and then the 21.5-inch iMac.
The iMac is such a great purchase. I mean, whether you get the entry level or whether you get the gargantuan, very expensive model, the longevity of these things, I mean, they're made out of glass and aluminum. So unless you drop it on the floor, they're practically bulletproof. Upstairs, my son uses my old, what is it going on, like 6 or 8 year iMac, 6 or 8 year old iMac to play video games on. We have Windows installed on there, and it works fine. There are a few issues with the boot camp because I've installed Windows 10. It's not technically supported on that machine.
Yeah.
But, I've worked around all those. But even if you're just using it to surf the web, like we said, most people just surf the web on these computers. But to buy a computer, or at least a Mac computer, with a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse separately, you're not going to do any better than the gorgeous 5K display that you get with an iMac. There's just, if you're looking for a good monitor, there's just no replacement, really. They just don't exist. I mean, I've enjoyed mine, and I edit video on it. I watch video content. I live my life on mine, and I couldn't enjoy it more. So if you're looking to get a home computer, just get the smaller 21.5-inch iMac entry level. Put it on your little desk in your kitchen, and it's going to look beautiful for years to come, and you're going to be able to use it at least probably 8 years unhindered. So it's a great machine.
Yes, this is true. Some more Apple news, a little change in leadership at Apple. Phil Schiller, who has been there since, 1987 when he started there. Forever. He was in his late 20s when he started at Apple. He has been the senior vice president of worldwide marketing, so the head marketing guy for a very long time. He is moving to the title from Apple's newsroom is Phil Schiller advances to Apple Fellow. So
what a title, an Apple Fellow.
Yes,
that's a strange person. Oh, he's an Apple Fellow. I see.
Yes, so he's still going to be doing some stuff, it looks like, but he is 30 years. He's just looking, I think he's made enough money, so he's probably looking to adjust and enjoy life, spend more time with family is usually the common quote given. But Joswiak, who is last name is an odd combination of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, so don't get them all confused, but he's going to be taking over. He's been there more than 20 years at Apple and going to be doing stuff. So does this really impact the average person? Not much.
No.
We see Phil Schiller a lot in the announcements and that kind of stuff. He loves talking about the Apple products. There were some reports on some of his greatest on-stage moments, like the first iBook that had Wi-Fi in it, and he jumped off of a thing to demonstrate how Wi-Fi works, and some of his other classic moments. But seems like a great guy. I've seen lots of interviews with him, but he's changing positions a little bit.
Can't innovate my rear end.
Yes,
that's one of his famous quotes from a few years ago.
Yeah. So not really any practical implications there, but another change at Apple, which we always like to talk about.
Yes.
We were talking about the SpaceX and AirDrop earlier, but Android is finally releasing their Nearby Share file sharing feature. Clever name, Nearby Share.
It just rolls right off the tongue.
Yes, yeah.
AirDrop versus Nearby Share.
Nearby Share, and so it will function very much like AirDrop. It'll be coming to the Pixel phones as well as newer Samsung phones.
I'm sorry, I'm making myself laugh. Can you imagine somebody saying, hey, can you, let's say Bob and Doug in the Dragon capsule coming from space, hey, can you nearby share me that PDF, please? What? Please go on. Please go on. I just had to laugh at that.
Yeah, I do not agree with that naming convention. But yeah, so one of the limitations with this, as I was saying, Pixel phone, Google's own Pixel phones, some Samsung phones, and it'll be coming to Chromebooks soon. But that's one of the great things with AirDrop is it works just seamlessly between my computer. I use it all the time between my computer, my phone, friends' phones, all of that stuff. And only real friends have iPhones.
Now, Nate.
True.
It sure took Apple a long time to kind of get the technology working. There were some bumps along the way.
Yeah.
There was device incompatibility that people with devices that cover a large span of time are having incompatibility issues, which is a pain in the rear. But you know what? Back in the day, I'm like, just let me email it or give me easy ways to do this. But moving forward in the years, I do believe that the AirDrop is a superior technology because it doesn't rely on the internet. It just relies on the radios from two devices. And so I believe this nearby share is a good step in the right direction for Android devices so that things are more secure and they can happen faster. So good on them for finally catching up, I guess.
Yes. And we were also talking about Netflix earlier. They have new playback speed controls. Dave, have you ever wanted to watch something on Netflix at half speed or double speed?
All the time. I have gotten accustomed to watching the content on YouTube because I subscribe to so many different channels of stuff, like probably 20 different channels, and they're all releasing videos either once or twice a week, and I'm just like, I'm getting buried by all this content. So I listen to that stuff like usually on 2x speed, and then I watch a program on Netflix that's like a reality show, like a cooking show or whatever, something that's not like a dramatic film. And I'm just like, if I could watch this so much faster if I could watch this at 2x. And so this is a huge welcome addition for me.
Yes, it looks like it's initially rolling out on Android devices, but I'm sure it'll be going everywhere else soon. But yeah, there are definitely, and I'm the same way with my podcasts. I have way too many podcasts to listen to, so I'll listen. I believe I'm at 1.4x in Pocket Casts, which I use. I feel for most podcasts that's a good thing. But the nice thing is with Pocket Casts, you can per podcast, because I've got a couple where they talk really fast, so I need to slow them down, or even slower talkers, I can speed them up. And I will say this, if you have tried, let's say 1.5 speed in Apple's podcast app, it does not do nearly as good a job as many of the third-party podcast apps. It feels a lot, 1.5 feels like 2x in the Apple podcast app, whereas like Pocket Casts, or I've used Downcast or Overcast, they do a much better job with that speed adjustment where it feels much more natural. They're doing some extra stuff there. So if you've tried 1.5 in Apple Podcasts app, I understand your pain. Try a different one. Most of them have a lot more options, by 0.1, so you can really adjust it. So that's a good pro tip on podcast listening if you need to get through more. Not that you would ever want to speed up our podcast, because then you might miss something.
Well, the fun thing about our podcast is if you slow it down to like 0.5 or 0.75 speed, it sounds like we're drunk. And Nate, listening to you sound drunk is a very hilarious thing. So I do enjoy that.
Or at 1x speed on some days, depending when we record. Oh, yes.
That's so true.
Another article that you found, and I have seen many, many reports of similar things. We talk about our lovely governments, and local and federal and worldwide, and I will remind people that we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet, but that does not stop us from criticizing the technology used by said governments. And so this article was talking about California's inaccurate coronavirus count. We will hold people accountable. So apparently
they were mad about it.
Tens of thousands of testing reports in the state of California were not entered or not entered correctly. I've seen this for many states where, for instance, in Florida, I saw something a while ago where, 1 week's report said that children's positive rate was at like 35%. Well, it turns out after they looked at it, they forgot to enter in all the negative tests, so they were only counting the positive tests, which if you are familiar with math, that's going to up your percentage points. So this is something similar. Their system, there was a server crash. It's having a hard time keeping up. How many times has, that's the government standard line, our system is having a hard time keeping up with increased demand.
It's just disappointing because people are relying on this information to be accurate.
Yes.
And if all the stuff is just kind of all over the place, you can imagine how frustrating it is to health officials, government officials, the public at large. It's like we need good data data to keep us on track. And so it's just disappointing that these things continue to happen when, computers and math have been around a long time. So surely we can figure this out.
Yes. Yeah. No, they were saying in the article, a lot of the counties and even some of the hospitals depend on this data being entered correctly because that's how they get their data back from the testing centers. So as with most of this, it is causing all kinds of issues, including public sentiment of, what's going on with coronavirus. We're all paying attention. We're all trying to figure out what's really happening, and to have something like this happen does not help the situation.
And before those of you out there who are prone to conspiracy theory and say, well, of course it's like this, we've known all along that they've been altering the numbers, please do not subscribe to conspiracy, what can be explained by human incompetence.
Yes.
It's because people make mistakes and people are dumb. No one's out to get anybody else. It's just that people are dumb. You just need to remember that. People are dumb. There you go. There's half your conspiracy theories right there.
Yes. Oh, well, speaking of people being dumb, security and privacy story of the week, we've actually got a positive one this week.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I guess it's not as negative as more correctly, it's not as negative as they usually are. But it does reveal a glaring problem with Microsoft. They announced that they paid almost $14 million with an M in bounties over the last 12 months. So we've talked several times about these bounty reward programs. The good guys are in there trying to find problems with software, and then if they report it correctly, they get a payout. So it gives them motivation instead of using it for bad. So they have 15 different bug bounty programs. Obviously, Microsoft has a lot of different programs, gaming, business software, servers, the cloud, all that stuff. So the positive here is it looks like their bug bounty program is working because they're paying out a lot of money and then hopefully fixing these things, which especially Microsoft Windows operating system is notoriously bad for having all kinds of bugs and having tons of monthly updates to fix. The July update patches 100 security vulnerabilities.
Nice.
I've been practicing that one. So it's these bug bounty programs have been coming in over, I don't know, maybe the last 5 years to different extenses at different companies seem to be helping out finding this stuff and getting it fixed. Our bonus odd take of the week, we have talked several times already about Netflix in this podcast episode and do it almost every episode just because it is so widespread and provides such value in our lives. But I came across from FoundryStack.com, they have a service called Felix. It is a Chrome extension available free from the Google Chrome Web Store, and it is channel surfing for Netflix. So this will allow you install the Chrome extension on your computer. You can put in some parameters as far as your region, kind of the ratings of the content, and even the Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb scores. And you can have it auto surf, or you can manually channel surf. I haven't tried this out yet, but it might be a fun way to kind of go through. We all have, I have painful memories of my childhood of, having to walk over to the TV and get the clicker, and one of the channels you kind of had to wiggle it a little bit, but you just constantly click channels because we weren't rich. We didn't have the TV guide. We sometimes had the newspaper, but you didn't have all of the luxuries we have. So this will take Netflix and take away the luxuries of Netflix to let you channel surf on there.
Well, I could not. I mean, I know this is a fun thing, but I could not hate channel surfing more.
Yes.
I totally dislike. I'm a completionist, and I have famously walked out of movies where I have missed the first 3 or 4 minutes of the movie. I walk out and go to another showing because I don't want to miss anything. Surfing on TV like this or on Netflix where stuff starts in the middle, no. The reason I want streaming video content is so I can start it when I want it and end it when I want it, and I can pause it when I want it. as fun as this seems and as cool as it is, this is not something I will be taking advantage of.
Yes. That's why it's an odd take. But you know what you can always take advantage of is our picks of the week.
So for those of you who have been listening for a while, you know my struggle and saga with finding the absolute best task management service, device, app, methodology, and I keep floating in and out, and partly I do this and so I can inform our listening audience what tools are out there and what I can recommend, but partly it's because I just want to get stuff done too. And I am very guilty of paying more attention to my input and organization method than I am to actually getting tasks done. I keep trying to rope my wife into kind of helping me be my life assistant, my administrative assistant. It's like I'll work and do stuff. You just help me like get the stuff done by saying you need to do this. Well, maybe I don't need to coax my spouse into helping me. Maybe I just need a better tool. And I've looked at this tool for years and years, on and off, and it's a Google tool, and the tool is called Google Keep. It is not unlike Evernote or, to a degree, Apple Notes or any other note-taking or task management application. I was hesitant to recommend and go with this because Google's famous for just shutting off their apps. They're like, I didn't want to put years of content into this product and have it disappear. So I just wanted to talk about Google Keep real quick and how it works with Google Tasks. And so if you were a Gmail user in the browser window, we're not talking if you connect it to like a third-party mail application or whatever. If you use Gmail in the browser, on the right-hand side, there are typically a couple little icons. One of them is a task management icon that opens up a side window, and the other one is a Google Keep icon. It kind of looks like a yellow sticky note with a light bulb in it. And Google Keep is a place where you can store messages, pictures, checklists. You can record meeting content. You can write with a pen or pencil if you have one of those devices, or you can scribble it with your mouse if you're on your computer. It is a kind of an all-in-one junk box for all of your content. And then tasks, which kind of works in conjunction with it, is just a little checklist thing. So if you use Google Keep solely, you can keep your tasks in Google Keeps as well as the rest of your documents, or you can just use some of the features of Google Keep and keep a separate task list using Google Tasks. So I know I threw a lot out there, and this is not a tip of the week, but a pick of the week section. But if you haven't looked at Google Keep in a while, it might be time to check it out again because they've really improved it and added a lot of new features.
Yes, and that will actually be a repick for you, Dave. I checked our archives, and back on episode 65, Fast Food, Facebook, and a Friend, you had mentioned it as your pick of the week, but it has been...
And I haven't really used it since then.
Yeah, so it's been 3.5 years since that pick, and it has changed a lot and improved a lot, so that's a good one. I played with it a couple times, and I really love the Apple Notes and reminders, but I also live in the Google G Suite Gmail world a lot, so there would be some very advantageous reasons to look at that again, so I'm going to do that.
Cool.
Well, my pick of the week this week is actually probably should be a pick from my daughter, but something that keeps her occupied and happy also becomes one of my picks, and it is, I just have to tell you, I believe it was early this last week. She goes, "Daddy, I want to play that game on your iPad." And I go, "Okay, which game?" The animals with the cars where you race around. I'm racking my brain. I'm trying to think through everything. I'm like, I have no idea what she's talking about. So we go we look through all the apps on my iPad, can't find it. We go through the purchased, not installed on this iPad in the App Store, nothing there. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So we go to Google, as we call it, our friends on the internet, and I do a search for kids car racing game animals or something like that. Finally find a picture of it, and it is called Sago, Sago.
I would say Sago, but that's me.
Sago Mini World, and I think I found out what had happened. She was playing with a friend recently who had a tablet that I believe had this game. And so I think she saw it there, got a little confused. She is smart, but sometimes she gets a little confused at 4 years old. But we downloaded it. I think they give you a 12 or 24-hour free trial to kind of play it. It is... I do not recommend it for adults at all, but in her age range, it is just a fun little game. You have these different, space or the jungle or a restaurant where you have these little animals and you can build stuff. It is, but she has a riot playing this game. Maybe I shouldn't use the word riot. She has a great time playing this game. She'll just start laughing to herself and she'll create these little things. Actually, it is subscription based, so I believe it's $7 a month or like $30 a year. And I talked to Chelsea, and I'm like, she is having so much fun with this. So we did a month to see how long she sticks with it, because also at 4 years old, your interests change pretty quickly. But
now, Nate, is there a physical aspect this as well? I'm on their website and I see kids playing with little paper cutout things and little toys.
So they have like a mini box, and they have also some other games. The Mini World is one we're playing, but there's some educational stuff. So I haven't, we're pretty new on this still, and she's been interested enough in that. But I did sign up for an account with them. So it does look like they kind of have more than just the game that you can get involved with. And so maybe we'll check out the box, some educational stuff like we were talking about earlier, finding ways to get that physical aspect as well as playing the game on the tablet could be real cool.
Yeah, looks like a fun thing. And this may be your future, Nate. You may be homeschooling Isla for here till the end of time. She may not ever set foot in a school.
Yes.
Might as well start it early.
Yes. So they have looks like $19 a month for the box where you get stuff every month of little games and things. So always looking for good things. And if it's something that she's already interested in on the tablet, we will take a look. And they have several awards here. The Mom's Award, the Mother Award, the Motherly Award, and others.
Well, we need to make our own award. Tell you what, why don't we make a Not Nerd Pick of the Week award?
Yes.
And when we make picks of the week, we'll send them out to people so they can put it on their box.
Yes, a friend of a friend of mine that is tied to our show, they created a children's book award, and it has grown larger than they could have ever expected, and they are now one of these badges that children's books seeks out. So there is... How
do you even do this?
I don't know. It's I don't know all the details.
Whose authority?
Yes. But yeah, if you like kids books, I guess you could get into that. But there is social proof, having those badges. That's why all the car commercials, they all win the J.D. Power Associates best car of the year, best in class, and a million different awards, because when people see awards, they think it gives them legitimacy. So
well, anyway, not to distract from your pick of the week, it seems like a wonderful program and a wonderful product. So if I had little kids, I would certainly try it out.
Yes. Well, let's move on to our Ramazon purchase of the week. We love it when you guys use our Amazon links to purchase things, because we get a little bit of a kickback to pay for our hosting and for our podcast hosting and all that good stuff. And then we have a couple dollars left over at the end of the year that we can go buy a small French fry at McDonald's to split between the two of us. But I also enjoy looking through the randomized reports, anonymous reports. And this one you are very familiar with, and I actually already know who bought it, but I thought it would give us a great opportunity to talk about this product again. Dave, it is not the one that we purchased, a little different kit here, the DJI Osmo Pocket Handheld 3-axis gimbal stabilizer with integrated camera, essential bundle with Osmo Pocket expansion kit, part 13, cradle, 32 gigabyte micro SD card. So
Yowza.
this is a previous pick of mine.
So this is a bundle.
Yes. So it's the DJI Osmo Pocket, just this amazing little camera. You can go back. I'll link in the show notes to when I talked about it on my pick of the week. I did a video on it too on our YouTube channel that you could check out when I first got it. But basically, this one comes with the official DJI. That is the hardest acronym for me to ever say. Their expansion kit, which includes a little GoPro mount thing, the handheld control unit, and the wireless base station. And this was Wes. Wes is like the main topic of our podcast the last 3 weeks running.
We should have him on as a guest someday.
We should. We really should. We're overdue for that. But, he had used mine in the past and was looking one for work. His work actually purchased it for him. But it is just a great way to do handheld video. It's got a gimbal, so it stays level, and there's a bunch of different features with it, but a really cool little device. And Wes, thank you very much for using our link to purchase that, because and I'm sure maybe we should have him do some Not Nerd videos for us, because he does a lot of great video work.
And I'm going to guess the price, because I'm somewhat familiar with this. I'm going to say with that bundle that he got, he probably paid about $365.
Pretty dang close, $349. So I think you can usually get just the Osmo Pocket for around $300, and then the expansion kit's around $100 if you go through DJI. But this was a good little bundle. I said these are the things you're going to want, so go ahead and get this.
Everything separately would have cost more than that. So good bundle.
Yep. So congratulations, Wes. I look forward to seeing what you do with that product. Well, that about wraps up our episode this week. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you learned something new about what's going on in technology, how to use the technology you're already using with our tips, and maybe something, I guess, the Sego Mini World, you might purchase that for your child. But Dave's, if you have a Google account, Google Keep, that's free. That's free, folks.
Free to use.
Yeah, we value a low price around here. That is one of the things in our holistic cost values that figures in strongly is getting a good deal, like my AirPods and that kind of thing. The Osmo Pocket, that's a little spendier, but it is, man, a great tool if you do a lot of video stuff. Really, really cool product. So with that, get out there and tech better.
Yep. I have nothing to add. Sorry, future Dave. But if you haven't looked at Google, geez, that's hard to say.
I played with it a couple times.
You're okay there, Nate? It's okay.
Getting emotional.
You can talk about it.